The problem is that a lot of people undervalue the things that they use every day because what they use becomes thoughtless and routine. And it's a problem because there's a lot of compound value over time that is missed, with that overall value being worth so much more than the extra cost at the time. A lot of worse night's sleep with that pillow, mattress and duvet. A lot of frustration with those few seconds extra lag on your slow phone. A lot of rubbish cups of coffee from that battered coffee machine. A bit more discomfort from those stiffer shoes. A bit less satisfied after that weak shower. The key to being happy with the things you buy is buying with more intention and consideration. To start off, I want you to take a look around you. What possessions that have given you the most joy and value in the past? It probably goes without saying, but these items that bring the most value are the ones that you use most often and really deserve upgrading to the most optimal point for you. Now don't get me wrong, this is not me saying buy the most expensive thing in the category you're looking at. No. I want to remind you of the law of diminishing returns. You have cost and value axes, and you have a value curve. As you go up the value curve, you get a lot more value for only a small increase in your spending, until you reach the optimal point where value and cost are equal, and this is the item that you should buy. After this point, spending more won't actually deliver you much more value. The issue is that people buy cheaper items at a much lower point on the curve. This is because they perceive that lower cost being better than the actual value they would have got just by spending only a little bit more. And this, like you saw earlier, is the value gap. The value gap is the big amount of value that you miss by spending only slightly less. So let's take some examples to demonstrate and wait till the end when I put it all together in a nice little summary. Let's say for ease, it's your winter jacket. You're considering buying one and your first option is to buy a cheap jacket. It's average quality, it's not that durable, doesn't have a great resale, it's not as warm as a better coat, but you wear it almost every single day in the winter season. It is an integral part of your daily life. The qualities that this coat possesses may lead you to want to buy another coat next year. Maybe it's worn out, maybe it's not in style anymore, maybe you want to upgrade and it doesn't make you feel as good. Or option 2, you can go out and spend double or maybe even triple on something high quality, durable, good looking and timeless. You'll feel better every day when you wear it. You look like an Eskimo. I really like this coat. And then you get the same value from it next year as well, and maybe even the year after that too. It is quite a big purchase. You're likely to spend over £100 on this. Going back to the law of diminishing returns, option 1 would be this worse item. It has a lower cost, but it has a much lower value in terms of the amount that you feel good, in terms of the warmth it provides, in terms of its durability and a few other factors. But by only spending a little bit more, you'll close this value gap and get a lot more compound value by feeling warmer every day, by feeling better every day, and probably also owning your coat for longer. And so this is really the optimal point that you should be spending, and this will be different for everyone because other factors such as luxury materials will matter more to some people than others. Some people won't get any value from this and some people will get a lot, and so your optimal point will be different from someone else's. And so it's tough to decide to spend more. But an item like this that you use every day can deliver so much more value if you just invest slightly more in it. Have the item that you want to buy in mind, and then ask yourself the question, if I bought this thing, how would I feel about it in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? Does it actually bring value into my life? How often do you use it and get that value out of it? 1 year later, would you prefer having that experience, having that value in use of that item over all that time, or would you actually prefer having that money in your bank account? Let's take another example, a kitchen knife. If you don't have a great one, you can keep using the one that's in the back of your drawer, or you can buy a new knife. But bear in mind, a kitchen knife, if you cook often, is something you use almost every single day. Let's just say for the sake of argument, the cheaper knife is £10 and the more expensive one is around £40. A sharp kitchen knife is a lot safer, it's a lot quicker. Often, a better knife is a lot more durable. It allows you to prepare your food more quickly and safely, saving you time and also increasing your enjoyment of the experience and maybe even increasing your passion for cooking. Oh, that's a nice knife. Thanks, man. So the benefit is clear to yourself, but it's wider than that. You can save time, but you also use that knife to prepare food for others and then spend that time that you've saved with them. Now, this happens on a micro amount. You may be slightly quicker with chopping your vegetables, but imagine the compounded effect after a year, the amount of minutes that you've saved just from this tiny small £30 extra upgrade. And then after 2 years, after 5 years, looking back on this purchase, it would seem silly not to have got a better knife that helps you in all these different areas and with your cooking every day and your enjoyment, your time with others, rather than get a slightly cheaper knife all for the sake of £30 5 years ago. Now, you do still have to look after your knife and keep it sharp. You can't expect to buy clothes and wear them every day and they still be clean at the end of the year. So I think it's pretty clear. Invest in the things that bring you the most value every day. If you look back after a year, you'll probably be a lot happier having spent on something that actually delivers a lot more value in your day-to-day life than looking back a year and thinking, I actually would prefer to have that money in my account. But what about things that you don't use that often? Take an expensive bread maker that, again, for the sake of argument, costs you £100. Now, you could be the kind of person that's going to make bread every single week and it's going to make you really happy and you're going to be able to enjoy it with others, and overall you're going to get a lot of value out of this bread maker. And in that case, it's well worth it. Or more likely, with a purchase like this, you're really interested in making bread, but realistically this bread maker is just going to end up another kitchen device that takes up space in your cupboard. You're going to use it so sporadically, maybe a couple of times when you first buy it, and then it sees the light of day maybe 3 times a year. The value that this is bringing to your life is not huge. It may have been worth just going with a cheaper bread maker or not buying one at all. Because taking that same exercise a year from now, you might be looking back and thinking, I only used that a few times, why did I spend so much on it? Instead, you could have bought some new saucepans, or maybe even that knife that you really wanted. And it's also important to consider the economic concept of opportunity cost. Going back to the bread maker and the saucepans, you could have saved the money that you spent on the bread maker and invested in those saucepans that you're actually going to use every day and cook meals every single day. Opportunity cost is the opportunity that you forego by making a different decision. So by spending on the bread maker, you can't spend on the saucepans. So always consider, is it worth spending the money on the thing that you want to, or is there something that will deliver more value in your life instead? This method of buying really is a guiding principle in my life now, and is now a reflex when considering buying material purchases. Being intentional and going through that exercise of thinking, how much value is this really going to add to my life before making a purchase, rather than just thinking about how much it costs and only just that. As a rule of thumb, the more often you use it, the more you should invest in it, because over time, you could either have this much compounded experience or this experience. You only have one life and a finite amount of money, so you owe it to yourself to optimize your possessions the best way for you. And a quick caveat, this is just what works for me. I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with the same method that I use and how you should think about purchasing things. And so always do what is best for you. And also never ever spend beyond your means. If you don't have the money to buy that thing, then stop thinking about buying that thing. And think about opportunity cost too. By spending some money, there could have been something else that would have brought a lot higher value into your life. So spend on the high value items and stop spending on the low value items. Even after this video, if your overall spending doesn't go down, but your mindset shifts slightly, and now the things that you are buying with the same amount of money are bringing more value into your life, just because you're now being a lot more intentional in the way that you buy, then I think that's a really positive change. Thanks for watching. On the channel, I mainly try to make videos themed around personal development. Please subscribe if that's something that you like the sound of, or if you got some value from this video. We're really trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so it really helped me out on this journey. I hope your next purchase is really intentional and a great one. I'll see you in the next video.